Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the first of our live streamed revision blasts for A-Level Economics for this 2022-2023 academic year. Lovely warm welcome to you all. Just looking down at my computer, it's lovely to see so many people joining us live, and I'm sure there's loads of you also watching this on replay. If you've not been to one of these live streams before, basically we've got about 35 minutes or so of fast-paced revision-based activities that we're going to throw out at you over the next few minutes, and we would love to know what your answers are. So please do use the chat window if you can to give us some of your responses. Some of them very straightforward, multi-choice question. You might say A, B, or C, or D, or whatever, and some of them will require a little bit longer answers. So please do join in. And I'm joined tonight by two familiar faces to some, but new to others. I've got Penny in the middle of the screen and Kathy on the right hand side. Good evening, both.
Hello.
Are you both well?
I can't believe we're back. We're believe
back.
It. Another school year and we're back.
We're back.
I know.
We're back. And like I say, I don't know how many people are familiar with these activities or familiar with our live streams and how many are brand new. But I suspect we've got lots of fantastic A-Level Economics students. So shall we get started?
Yes.
Oh, let's do that.
And I should say, of course, we're talking about the basic economic concepts tonight. The primary purpose being to try and give you some support if you're about to take any kind of mock or test or something in the topics that you probably would have covered very early on in year 12. So that's what we're covering tonight. Right, let's make a start, shall we? Here we go. Ooh. Apologies, little technical error there. Just let me just sort that one out. That was question 5, and we want question 1. Here we go.
Let's start with question 1. Here we go with question 1 then. So welcome. If you're new to our live streams, as John said, just type in your answers, please, in the chat window to the questions as we go through. It would be lovely to get your answers coming through. So we're going to start with some nice, simple, straightforward multiple choice questions. And bearing in mind that this is looking at basic economic concepts, we're going right back to basics. So everything that's here is on your specification. Questions can be asked on anything on the spec. So any of these might come up. So it's good, all good practice. So question 1. Which of the following statements is a valid criticism of the use of assumptions in economics? We do make a lot of assumptions in economics, and it's important to recognise those and to be able to refer to them and pick them out in your answers. So what do you think? Is it A, B, C, or D? Are they criticised for being unrealistic? Are they initial conditions made before a micro or macro analysis should be built? Sometimes are they used for simplifications? Assumptions can be used to isolate the effects of a change in one variable on another. So what we're looking for here is a criticism of the use of assumptions in economics. So great, I can see those answers coming through already. There's a few people going for A, there's a couple going for C, a few more for C. Bertie was the first one through with the answer of A. Well done there. A's and C's are the ones which are coming through mostly here. Let's have a look at the correct answer, please, John. And yes, it's A. So well done to all of those of you who came up with A. The thing about B, C, and D, they're all absolutely true, but those are not necessarily, they're true sort of statements about assumptions, but they're not necessarily criticisms of an assumption. And actually, a number of you I know went for C, which says that sometimes assumptions are used for simplification. That's not necessarily a criticism. That's actually quite useful to be able to simplify a situation in order to be able to isolate the points that we want to make in economic analysis. But as I said at the start, it's always important to state what your assumptions are. So try and be aware of the assumptions you're making. Great, good start. Thanks, folks. Let's have a look at question 2, which is which of these is a correct definition of a positive economic statement? Okay, positive statements, really important to know about, and definitions are really important to practice. So you've got 4 possible definitions there. Which one is the best definition here of a positive economic statement? Have a look through. Gina Marie has made a suggestion already of D. So has Christine and Liam. We've got a number of people going for D at the moment. Anybody else want to join in here? Does anybody think anything different from D? Now, it looks at the moment as if everybody is going for D, that the positive economic statement can be tested using verifiable data. Let's have a look and see if that's correct. Yes, it is. Well done. Okay, so yes, the one that some of you have thought about there is that a positive statement is based on numerical data, which would say yes, sometimes it is, but not always. There's other kinds of data that can be verifiable. Okay, so now let's have a look at 3. Okay, so that was about positive statements. Now we're thinking about normative economic statements. So here, which of these has got the best list of attributes? Which is the best description of a normative economic statement? You've got a bit of a pick and mix here between A, B, C, and D. Read through and see which gives you the best mixture of attributes to describe a normative economic statement. And people are sticking with D again this time round. So they're picking out, uses subjective arguments and value judgments. What about any of the others there? Okay, it's very consistent use of or choice of D. Let's have a look at the correct answer, please, John. And it is. Well done. Okay, so the value judgments came up in A, of course, but it's testable and objective, which would apply more to positive economic statements. And likewise, we've got subjective arguments in C, which is correct, but testable and empirical would again apply more to positive statements. So D was the correct answer there. Well done. If you're on 100%, I think a lot of you probably are on 100% so far. So keep going. Right, question 4. Now, economists state, and they often state this, that resources in an economy are scarce. What is the result of this scarcity? Is it A, B, C, or D? Have a good look through each of those and decide which you like the look of best. Excuse me. Okay, so Gina Marie first in here, I think, with an A. Liam's going for A as well. But now there's some different opinion about C. Tutor to You is wondering if it's D again. Well, nobody else thinks it is at the moment, Tutor to You, but let's see. Mostly, I think people are going for A. 1 or 2 going for C there. Let's have a look at the correct answer, please. Yes, it's A. That's right. The free goods point, none of you went for, so I think you could all recognise that's not about resources. It's about alternatives that could be produced. That's the wrong theory area that we're using here. Resources are always misallocated for C. Not always. Sometimes resources are misallocated, but it's not always inevitable. And D, of course, we wouldn't go for that because that's a normative statement. So it's got to be A, that choices must be made. Okay, one more multiple choice to go with. So if you're on 4 out of 4 so far, let's see if you can keep it up for 5 out of 5. So careful thinking about this one. What we're looking for here is the categories. What are the categories of scarce or limited resources that are commonly referred to in economics? What we're looking here for is the most likely description that you might use, the most likely economic term that might be used to describe scarce or limited resources. Sort of standard traditional terminology that we're using. So I can see that you're having a careful look through and a think about this. There is a discussion to be had, actually. We were talking about this question just immediately before the broadcast and thinking, okay, there is a discussion to be had here. But the most likely answer. Now, I can see that lots of you are going for D, but there's a couple of C's in there as well. Bertie was the first one who came in with a C. There's a bit of a movement towards D at the moment. Let's just give you a moment for another couple of people to think. Okay, Bertie's saying D or C. Aha, okay. That's probably where most of the discussion lies. Yes. Okay, can we have the correct answer, please, John? And it is C. That land, labour, capital and enterprise, the 4 factors of production is what we normally are meaning when we're talking about scarce or limited resources. Okay, you can also, though, get a description of renewable or non-renewable resources. And of course, it's inevitable a non-renewable resource must be scarce or limited. So we can definitely see an argument for this. But the most common term that we're using when we're talking about scarce and limited resources is talking about factors of production, and those are your land, labour, capital, and enterprise. And those are such a fundamental concept that sort of underlines such a lot of economic theory that it's worth having that always in mind. Okay, so done some good testing of your memory there. Kathy's going to give you some more questions now to get your memory really working.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Penny. Right, this is a new task, and this is a tricky task. I'm just warning you before we start this one. So what you're going to see on your screen in a moment are a number of people. Can you see the 5 people at the forefront of this screen? And they are all going to make a statement. What you have to do is to memorize the statement. Then we're going to ask you to match that with various economic concepts. So there's really quite a lot to think about. Do remember, this is all about basic economic concepts in this revision webinar. John, shall we start the slideshow going? Okay, so keep on thinking. Okay, there's one more left. One more left. Okay, let's have the next screen up. Now, when I listened to this, there was music for that bit, so I don't know whether people on the stream heard the music. Oh, I can see Chitty you saying no music. So let's do these one at a time. So I'm going to start with Andre in the top left. What did Andre say? And which of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 best matches what Andre said? So have a think. I think there's so many things to be thinking about here. What did Andre say? And which does it relate to? So Gina's come through saying Andre matches with 2, the reward to an entrepreneur. So the number that matches what Andre said. Oh, we've got all sorts of ideas. Toby thinks 3. We've got 4. We've got 3. Let's wait and see. We've got any others? Now, I'm going to give a bit of a clue because I think this is really super hard. Andre is the one that talked about the rent on his flat. He talked about the rent on his flat increasing. So we've got a real mix between 3 and 4. Not going to give you the answers until the end. But more people now, I think, veering towards 4. Bernice, let's do Bernice next. What did Bernice say? So that's top row on the right. And which of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is this? Bernice this time. Got someone clarifying on the chat. Just going back to Andre, rent is a need. Bernice now. People think I've got lots of 1s coming in for Bernice. So Bernice was talking about an opportunity cost. Not everyone agrees. It's really tricky, this one, isn't it? Just a bit of a prompt. Bernice is the one that said, I can't go on holiday because I'm saving up for a car. So lots of people now thinking that's one. Let's do Cameron next. So Cameron was the one in the middle of the stream, I think. if that helps you. Cameron, in the middle row on the left. What was Cameron talking about? And is that 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5? So again, an absolute mix. I can see some 3s on here though, people that think Cameron made a normative statement. Cameron is the one that said government should increase income tax to fund healthcare. Bit of a clue there. Bit of a clue. So now we've got lots of 3s pouring in. Okay, 2 more left. Daphne. Let's have a look at Daphne. What did Daphne say? And which statements have we got left, or which do you think we've got left? What did Daphne say? So now I see a solid stream of 5s coming in. So people seem to be in complete agreement that Daphne mentioned a scarce resource. Daphne is the one who is talking about her wedding ring being made of gold. All right, 1 left. So let's go on to Eliza. Then what did Eliza say, and which one does that match with? So number 2 was the first answer to come in. Number 2, Eliza described the reward to an entrepreneur. Seems that everybody agrees with that. This is unanimous. Tutor to you saying, well done, everyone. This is indeed tricky. Yes, and Eliza is the one that was talking about how her business had earned a profit. So, John, could we have the answers up, please? So, have a little look at these now, and I reckon people did incredibly well here. So, Andre talking about his rent is describing an economic need there, isn't he, rather than a want. Bernice is talking about an opportunity cost. So an opportunity cost, the next best alternative foregone. And she's giving up a holiday because she's saving for that car. Normative statements we have already covered in detail. So that's reflected in the fact that almost all of you got that right, and you all recognized gold there, the wedding ring being made of gold, as a scarce resource. And of course, profit is the reward for being in business. Super well done on this very tricky task. Let me hand back to Penny for some more multiple choice now, I believe.
Penny, I think you're still muted.
So I was. Thank you, John. Sorry about that. I know that there I was just congratulating everybody for doing so well on remembering all of the detail of what people had said in those statements. Let's move on to multiple choice. Okay, so we've got 4 more multiple choice questions here, but this time we're looking at diagrams rather than just word questions. So it's another kind of question that you might get on an exam paper or on a test. So the first one here, we've got an illustration of a production possibility frontier, which is showing the quantity of guns produced and the quantity of butter produced. Which of the concepts listed below can not be illustrated by that PPF? Okay, so we've got 4 economic concepts listed for you. You have to decide which one cannot be illustrated by a PPF. So 3 of them can be, 1 of them can't. Which is the one that can't? Oh, straight to a very unanimous view here that it's D. Let's have a look and see if all those people have got it right, John. Yes, you have, absolutely. It's not showing us the cost of producing guns and butter, is it? It's showing us the opportunity cost, so that if you produce less of one, then you can produce more of the other as you move between points B, D, and C on the PPF there. But it doesn't tell us about the financial costs. Good, that's a great start. Well done. Let's have a look at the next one. We've got another diagram here. Different kind of PPF, the straight line PPF. And this shows two PPFs for an economy, and there's been a change from A to B. Why might that have happened? The movement from A to B for this particular economy is likely to have occurred for which of those four reasons? Okay, so we've got an economy that can make mobile phones or shoes. And are they changing from A to B because the resources are being underused by the shoe industry, or because consumers prefer mobile phones instead of shoes? Is it to do with productivity in both of the industries, or is it because there's more profit in the mobile phone market? Is that why they're producing more mobile phones now? And again, I think we've got pretty much absolute agreement that it should be C. Let's see if everyone's got this one right. Yes, they have. Well done. Okay, that's great. If you've got all of the multiple choice questions right so far, both the first ones that we did and all of these, or both of these so far, can you just give us a thumbs up in the chat? Let's see how many people are getting 100% on these. And while you're doing that, we can move on and have a look at question 2. Sorry, even question 3. Okay, so let's go on to the next question. So another PPF, we've got a production possibility frontier shown here. Which of the following combinations of output are possible? Okay, and I can see a thumbs up coming through from Ren Kyle. Well done. You're there on 100% so far. Let's see if you can get this one. Okay, so which of these following combinations are possible? I think you need to look quite carefully at this and kind of interpret what the diagram is showing you. So is it only A, or is it just B and C? Is it A, B, and C, or is it all 8 of them? Not 8 of them, all 5 of them. A, B, C, D, and E. Okay, we've got a few people saying A. Now, as I say, I think you need to look a little bit more carefully at the diagram, perhaps. Just interpret it a bit more than that. Where do you think points B and C are supposed to be showing? You can see Gina has said C. Bertie thinks all of them. Simra's coming in with C. Yeah, okay. I take the point. I'm not sure if that's Dreg or D-Reg, but you say it's not very clear where the points lie, though. And okay, let's say though that B and C are on the line, on the PPF line. And I think that's pushing a number of people towards C. Okay, so I think I've given enough hints now that we can look at the answer and see that, yes, it is C. So B and C, we're saying, are both actually on that PPF line. So clearly that's possible. A is also possible. It's not desirable because it's not efficient use of resources, but it's possible. But E and D both lie outside the PPF, so those are not possible. Okay, one more to go here. So let's see if those of you who've managed the 100% so far can get this as well. So we've got 2 PPFs for an economy, and again we've got a shift or a change. This one is just moving out in the consumer goods end. So the movement from A to B is likely to be a result of an increase in what? Is it A, relative productivity? Is it B, the resources used in the production of consumer goods? C, the demand for consumer goods, or D, the opportunity cost of consumer goods? Be careful with this. Have a careful look through it. Okay, I can see an A and a B. And some more A's and B's. We've got a split between A's and B's at the moment. Okay, let's just give you a moment to have a bit more of a think. Okay, so I think we've got one C there, but mostly, on the whole, I think people are mostly going for A. And I think if we look at the correct answer, you'll see that you're right. So well done if you got that. The resources employed in the production of consumer goods would lead to a change in the position on the or the position of output on the PPF. It wouldn't actually shift the position of the PPF for producing consumer goods. So that must be the relative productivity. The same resources can actually produce more in total now of the consumer goods than they would before. Well done. So if you got 100% right there, very well done. And now you can move on to have a look at the lovely bubble quiz.
Okay, thanks very much, Penny. So if you are new to Tutor to You, the difference between a bubble quiz and the multiple choice that we've just done is that there can be any number of correct answers between 0 and 4. So it is your task to decide how many of these are correct and which ones. So we've got 3 sets of bubble quiz questions coming up. So this first one then, a farmer has 1 field and chooses to use it to plant wheat. Which of these are examples of the opportunity costs of this economic decision? So put what you think are the correct answers in the chat, please. So I can see somebody's come straight in with A and D. So do you agree with that? Yeah, got another A and D and another and another. So it seems very clear. Everybody thinks it's A and D. Oh, I've got A and D separately. Now, John, would you like to show us the correct answer? Yes. So hopefully from the discussions we've already had, you can see that the A and D are the examples of opportunity cost here. So D is perhaps a slightly more unusual one, just looking at the alternative uses that capital could be put to. So super well done. John, could we have the second bubble quiz, please? So which of these statements does not contain a value judgment? Which ones do not contain a value judgment? So as before, please put the correct letters on the chat. B and D, I've got B and D. Lots of people saying B and D. Bertie thinks B, C and D. Maybe have a look. Do you think Bertie's right? Is it B, C and D? Lots of people now thinking it is B, C and D, perhaps having had a second look. John, could you reveal the answers for us? So which of these do not contain value judgments? And it is indeed B, C and D. So super well done on that one. One left. Here we go. Which of these are classed as economic agents? Which of these are classed as economic agents? So same thing again. The correct letters, please, on the chat. So I've got B, C and D again from Bertie. Yep, lots of people thinking this is B, C and D. Nicole's disagreeing, but otherwise it seems to be pretty unanimous. John, could we have the right answers? Yes, and I think using the terminology economic agents. It's something that we talk about a lot at Tutor to Use. So upgrading your language. So using the term economic agents and perhaps clarifying that in this case, you're referring to consumers or producers, for example. Penny, I believe it's back to you for what looks to me like another new activity.
It is another new one, and it looks like a fun one to me as well. And actually, that point that you were just making about clarifying terminology is one that will be useful in this activity. So we're going to be looking at a flip side of an argument. You're going to have one factor, one potential argument that you might use for analysis in economics shown to you on one side of the coin, and then we're going to ask you to flip the coin and think about what's the other way of looking at this. So let's have a go at the first one, and you can see how this works. So here we've got a benefit of a country specializing in the production of a product might be lower unit costs. Okay, that's something that we could go on and analyze why that might be the case. Now, suppose that you were to then think about, okay, let's now think about a drawback of a country specializing in the production of a product. What could you suggest? And again, you can type this into the chat, please, just very briefly. What might be a drawback of a country that's specializing in the production of a particular product? So have a think and think about what point you might want to make, and then to be able to analyze in a bit of depth to think about a disadvantage or a drawback of a country that's specializing in the production of a particular product. Who's going to have the first go at this? Oh, well done, Gina Marie. She's coming first. Talking about low diversity of skill sets, increasing occupational and structural unemployment. That's a lovely answer. That's really quite a nice, sophisticated, isn't it? Great.
Yes.
And it's using lots of economic terminology. There's another one. It might mean the economy is too heavily reliant on one product. In the UK, you can argue for the specialisation in services. Yes, absolutely. They may suffer from Dutch disease, says Toby. That's a good bit of knowledge. Less consumers, possibly. I think we'd want a bit more detail for that one. There's a risk of volatile raw material prices driving up costs. Excellent. Okay, you can maybe think about what particular concept that you're talking about there as well and name that. Reduction in demand means lower revenue and profit. Yep. We've got risk of worker alien, yes, risk of disruptions to production process, risk of structural unemployment due to, lots of drawbacks. Now, we've just got one. I mean, these are brilliant answers. We've got one to show you, but I think actually your answers have taken what we've done here and really extended it. Well done. So we've got a drawback of a country specialising in the production of a product might be an over-extraction of natural resources. That's the kind of point that many of you were referring to there. Great, well done. So you've got this. Let's have a go at another one. So the coin this time is saying an advantage of a free market system might be a more efficient allocation of scarce resources. Might be an advantage. What might a disadvantage of a free market system be? So let's see what you can come up with this one. I'm looking forward to some really good use of economics and terminology for this, please. So the advantage or disadvantage of a free market system might be huge inequality is the first one that's been suggested. Okay, yep. And again, you'd want to obviously to add a bit of detail to analyse that. What other suggestions can we come up with? A disadvantage of a free market system. Can lead to negative externalities, says Toby. Yes, good. Again, you could add some detail to that one for us, I think. Lack of provision of free rider goods and greater income and wealth inequality. Again, we've got lots of economics coming through here. Isn't this great, Catherine? Does not produce at the social optimal level of output, exploitation of raw materials, tragedy of the commons. Fantastic. This is some really good stuff coming through. Let's have a look at the suggestion that we've got for you, which I think ties in again with a lot of the points that you're making. So we're suggesting a disadvantage of a free market system might be an under provision of some goods or services, e.g. defence. Okay, lovely. One more to go here. Let's have a look at the last one that we've got for you. We've got, okay, indirect tax here. An advantage of using an indirect tax on sugary drinks, very specific, would be a fall in consumption and associated health issues caused by such drinks. Okay, so we're obviously looking at fewer negative externalities here. But can you think of a disadvantage of that indirect tax on sugary drinks? What might a disadvantage of using an indirect tax on sugary drinks be? Let's give you a moment to get it typed in. So a disadvantage of using an indirect tax on sugary drinks. Okay, Rain, Kyle is saying the tax may be regressive. Okay, i.e. it affects those on lower income households more. Regressive says the next answer, inelastic demand may not greatly decrease consumption. I'm assuming there you're talking about price inelastic demand rather than income inelastic demand. Be careful in your description there. Paternalistic government, but also the risk of laissez-faire government causing a buildup of debt. Oh my goodness, that's really going into some depth there. Okay, it will be proportional, disproportionately affect lower income households. Most of the burden is on lower income earners. Increased prices push demand down and reduces the producer and consumer surplus. Okay. Lots of less competition due to higher costs for smaller firms. Lots of really good answers. I'm sorry if I didn't read yours out. They're all excellent. What we have for you is the disadvantage is that the tax will have a disproportionately high impact on poorer households, i.e. that's that point about it being regressive. And again, you could do some good work, couldn't you, on explaining how or why that regressive effect happens by providing the link between the cause and the effect. And in fact, I'm now going to pass you back to Kathy, who's going to give you some questions doing just that, filling in the missing links.
Yeah, I have to say, Penny, how amazing though were those answers. So exciting for this point in the
yes.
in the year. Just unbelievably good.
Yes,
I've got
thank you.
I think this is another new activity, the missing link activity. So what Penny's just done, actually being able to offer alternative viewpoints to things is critically important in economics, and so is this missing link activity. So again, it's something we talk about a lot at Tutor to You, making sure that there aren't gaps in your analysis and your explanation. So that's what this task is all about. There's three of them. The first one, how do we get from A to B? So how are you going to link these two together? So as non-renewable resources become more scarce, their price is likely to rise. So what link can you put in there that closes this chain? See what you can add on the chat. Remember, we're talking about really quite basic economics here, but very, very important that your chains of analysis and your explanations are full. Okay, someone's suggesting supply may shift. In fact, a couple of people are suggesting that. I think what we're after is the reason why the price may rise. Oh, it's interesting. People obviously finding this a little bit more difficult. John, I wonder if we should just put up the answer to this one so people can see what it is we've got in mind. So, A here, a non-renewable resource becomes more scarce. So this is, if you like, our cause. in Tutor to Use Speak, looking at cause and effect. Now, the way this is going to work is that businesses will increase prices in this situation because consumers are prepared to pay more for this scarce resource, and therefore their price is likely to rise. See how the missing link ties these two things together. Let's have a go at the next one. So it's exactly the same thing. How do we get from A to B? An increase in government spending on education, and then B will have an opportunity cost. So what is the link we need to add in here so we've got a complete chain of analysis, chain of explanation? An increase in government spending on education. Why will this mean we have an opportunity cost? The chat's gone suspiciously quiet at this point. Ah, brilliant. So Cassie's come in and has said the government has limited revenue. Yes, so it's likely that there's going to be an opportunity cost. Someone else has said, Toby's said, so this means the government is unable to increase spending on other services such as healthcare. John, can we see our link here? So super well done, everybody. You are along the right lines here. So we've got government revenue is finite, and an increase in spending on one area will likely mean a reduction in spending on another. So it is possible the government could borrow, but in the absence of that, we're going to have an opportunity cost. John, could we please have the third one? So the same thing again. A, then, a UK government's economic decision making, and B will include some value judgments. So how are we going to get an extra link in here that makes this chain complete? This is the last one of these. I think this is really quite tricky. Really quite tricky here. How can we link a UK government's economic decision making with B will include some value judgments? Again, either I've got a lag, people are typing loads. Someone's saying it will be normative. Someone's saying there's going to be spending on their policy targets or their policy aims. That's very close, actually, to the link that we have. Let's give you a couple of seconds more in case there is anything you want to add. Yes, and someone's saying there needs to be decisions over who and where to allocate spending, and decisions as well over the extent to which government should intervene in the economy. Oh, excellent stuff here. John, can we have our answer, please? So the missing link that we have got here is that each government is elected based upon their opinions, values, and beliefs. So the idea that lots of you have got on the stream here is that decisions are going to be taken based on agendas, but also some other really valid and very good thoughts on the stream. Super well done.
Wow. What a brilliant evening.
Yes,
yeah, absolutely.
wow.
I mean, so many people giving us some
Really?
wonderful responses. I was particularly impressed with the coin flipper activity there in terms of the quality of answers. Absolutely brilliant. What a fantastic first live stream of the new academic year, to get so many of you getting involved. I'm going to shout out a few people's names. Forgive me, I won't get everybody who has given us some answers, but I just wrote down as many as I could as we were going along. Bertie, Nicole, Gina Marie, Rainey, Rain, Toby, Liam, Jude, Kate, Luke, Dreg, Lily, Millie, Jackie, George, Cassie, Chris, Ben. I know I won't have got everybody there, but everybody who took part tonight, thank you so much. We're back, of course, next week, where we're going to flip to some micro stuff next. To macro stuff next week, where we'll be looking at economic performance indicators. Massive thank you to everybody who's taken part, and also, of course, a massive thank you to Penny and to Kathy for both helping put this together and deliver the session tonight. Wonderful stuff. If you've enjoyed tonight, please do give us a thumbs up on YouTube. That'll help us in terms of attracting a few other people in, and it'd be even better if we can see you, of course, in future live streams. I'll see you two as well, Penny and Kathy, at a later date, and we'll be back very soon. Okay.
Yes.
Goodbye, everybody.
Yes. Bye.